Because in the previous presentation, they were talking about baby boomers and millennials. So who here are baby boomers? Be honest with yourselves. Come on. Those who were born in the 60s? Am I the only baby boomer here? And how many here are millennials? Are you sure you are a millennial? And who here are millennials? Do you know what millennials are? They feel like they're millennials. So I am a millennial. Now, thank you, Raj, for setting the stage for my presentation, because a lot of the data that you presented is actually will be part of my presentation. And what I'd like to focus now is innovation for technology, and I really like the theme today, people, technology, and innovation, because I think this is the future of the industry. Already mentioned that the world population is burgeoning. In 2050, we'll see a little less than 10 billion, and 50 years later, close to 11 billion. That's a lot of mouths to feed. So we'll still be in the business. Don't worry. But the challenge is we have finite resources. Resources are being depleted, and in the process there's emission, there's pollution, and we are actually risking the very basis of our existence. So we have a tall order here today, and I'd like to enjoin everybody to really face this issue head on, and I'm sure we can do it. As of August 1, this group who was looking at eco-footprint was saying that we actually need 1.7 Earths, or let's say 2 Earths, to sustain our production. That means, of course, it's only September, but we're already actually using the resources intended for next year, because resources are finite. And the UN acknowledges this challenge. In fact, there was a meeting in 2015, and they made a commitment, okay, for sustainability. They had set goals for sustainable development goals, because this is something that we really have to address as a work, as an industry in particular. And DSM as a company is actually having a role to play in these goals that the UN has set. For example, the DSM sustainable growth areas are nutrition and health, climate change and renewable energy, and also resources and circular economy. And I'm going to talk to you about this in more detail. Already Raj was mentioning about the animal protein, and this is part of a healthy balance supporting the health and well-being of growing populations. We want to focus on people, planet, of course, profitability even of our farmers. And feeding this growing population, 10 billion in 2050, is a big, big challenge. But we also think, because the genetics companies have actually took great strides in developing more robust chickens, more productive chickens. Nutritional companies have actually started biotechnology, like enzymes to improve digestibility. A lot of improvements also in biosecurity, in housing. A lot has been made, but we still are lacking, because again, the resources are very limited. So we have to improve quality of nutrition, contributing to increased health and energy and longevity, turning these edible crops, okay, to nutritious protein-rich food. And I think broiler is one of the most efficient converters of this. there's a lot of land that's also being used, but we want, of course, to maximize the use of the land that's available. And the agricultural sector is a key component to this socio-economic status and a key contributor to prosperity. We want people to prosper. But in the process, there's an increasing scrutiny on the impact of our production processes. And human health, animal welfare, we talk about the risk of antimicrobial resistance, global warming potential, etc. So this is something, again, that we have to address. And DSM, in its nutrition mission, is looking at healthy diets, okay? And let me emphasize this, all within planetary boundaries. We advocate health, balanced nutrition, increasing the nutrient content and quality, not only the nutrient, but the quality, as well as the safety of the food. And in that process, we are able, okay, to feed this growing population. While, listen to this, while reducing eco footprint. Nowadays, we talk about emissions, eutrophication potential, acidification potential, all of this. And maybe today, in Southeast Asia, in South Asia, it's not yet in our radar screen, but it is there. It is coming. In fact, in one of the presentations a while ago, by, if I'm not mistaken, Kapila was talking about environmental impact. And I said, wow, that's really the next gen, the Gen X. We have to look at these things. So there are basically 6 platforms, core platforms, where healthy diets within the planetary boundaries, where our company is into technology and innovation to help address these particular challenges. 1, reducing livestock emissions. You may be aware that the value chain of the dairy cow has such a huge global warming potential. In fact, the methane that it's producing, it's belching out, actually has 28 times more global warming potential than carbon dioxide. Huge. It's humongous. Now, 14.5% of GHG, or the greenhouse gases from the livestock sector, of which 66%, or 2/3, are from cattle. Now, DSM has come up with this technology called 3NOP, which will help reduce enteric methane.
Rolando, excuse me. You can make a case study without naming the company. That should be better. That would sound better. Right.
The 3NOP feed supplement, which reduces enteric methane. Imagine the impact of that. Okay? So, what you see is that if we add 3NOP to a cow, it will reduce 30%. And if there are 3 cows, dairy cows, that is actually equivalent to a family car, 1 family car being huge. The next one is reducing our reliance on marine resources. This Veramaris is coming up with an algal oil, okay, because the fish wild catch production has reached its limits. And aquaculture is required to cover an increasing protein demand for human nutrition. Okay? So we have to also look at this. Now this algal oil, okay, is a natural marine algae which will actually shorten the natural food chain, replacing, listen to this, replacing fish oil from 1.2 million tons of wild catch. Because wild catch, again, is a finite resource. Now, the other thing is about safety, quality, and nutrition of reducing waste. And by using a vitamin D nutrition program. It helps improve bone strength. And let me just focus on the bone strength of the layer. Now, genetic companies are looking at having chickens to 100 weeks, producing 500 eggs per hen house. But how can we do this? We have to strengthen the bone of that layer. And by having a good vitamin D program for that layer, by building its medullary bone during the rearing stage, it will help extend its longevity, producing stronger egg shells for that layer. Okay? And by doing that also, we're able to reduce what we call the FLW, the food loss and waste, which is a major sustainability issue. So by doing that, we are able to have more effective nutrition, leading to improved eggshell strength. The third one is the efficient use of natural resources. And I think you're very familiar with the fact that using enzymes will help increase digestibility of different raw materials. And especially nowadays, there's more and more use of byproducts. Okay? And by using byproducts which are less digestible, you need something to increase their nutrient value. And the use of enzymes will be a lot of help in this regard. And take an example, if you use a protease, okay, you can actually reduce the nitrogen output by about 35%. And imagine that impact in the environment. Tackling antimicrobial resistance. There were reports that by 2050, deaths due to antimicrobial resistance can reach to about 10 million. And that's more deaths than due to cancer, due to maybe cardiovascular diseases. And I myself, in September of last year, had an actual experience of antimicrobial resistance. We brought a lady to the hospital. She actually contracted hospital pneumonia. They gave her 6 different antibiotics, nothing worked. Until eventually she died. And do you know why that story is very close to me? Because that lady was my mother. She was 88, nothing worked. Of course, the doctors can say, yeah, but your mother is already old. Probably she's not responding well to antibiotics. But the fact of the matter is, none of the antibiotics that was given her worked. So this is a real concern. Antimicrobial resistance. And in that regard, we're looking at what we call AGP-free nutrition. But let me tell you, like in Southeast Asia, Indonesia has banned the use of AGPs. South Korea actually did it in July of 2011. Vietnam is already into it. But they have, the stark reality is there's no silver bullet. You cannot just take an organic acid, an essential oil, a probiotic, put them together, and it will take the place of antibiotic. No, senor. It will not work. It has to be done in a holistic approach. You have to take care of biosecurity. When I was working as a farm veterinarian, I said, I just give medicine. It will take care of everything. And for a long time, I have been using antibiotics to cover my lapses in management. So when Korea and Indonesia right now, they started in January, they found out, it's very difficult really to move because the basic fundamentals has not been in place. Biosecurity, having better digestibility of feeds, giving what we call TLC, tender, loving care for the chicks, making them. So this is the last point that I want to say. We are working with an alliance with another company targeting what we call the peptidoglycans. What are peptidoglycans? These are part of the cell wall components which will actually reduce gastrointestinal functionality. And this enzyme will break down these peptidoglycans, which will improve the gastrointestinal functionality. This will actually be in the market 3 days from now in North America and Latin America. So, in closing, we are looking at contributing to healthy, enjoyable, accessible food, working with our partners, the poultry, the dairy industry, and we are committed to promoting equitable access to healthy food. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rolando, for giving up technology usage, keeping in view of the climate change, how the food demand is moving. We are all very familiar with food surplus. Yesterday my secretary was mentioning that we have milk surplus, broiler surplus, egg surplus, food surplus. Can anybody think shortage? I'll tell you the story of Kerala. I was heading as a central team there to visit Changanur, Pathanathitta, and then our Kollam districts. There you'll understand what food is. Can you believe the rich and the poor were done equated within minutes? On 16th of August, 11:30, the water came to 20 feet level to the rich man house and the poor man house. 4 feet mud. In the evening, they have to go to the camps to fetch the food. So how are we prepared to face these climate changes? The California burning, Japan tsunamis, Japan temperatures, India's floods and landslides. We need to think of sustainability to a different perspective. We're all happy to produce more. We're all happy to produce quality. But how are we prepared to see? I think I will put a challenge to the next gen people. Are we ready? Are we ready to give an alternative thinking that suddenly something happens? How are we prepared to give the food to the nation? It will be really heart touching. In Kodagu or in Kerala, our brothers and sisters face a great challenge. They don't know what is tomorrow. So such things we need to prepare ourselves. How are we going to see? There is a message that people are thinking that artificial meat, they want to grow meat in labs. I don't think that will be sustainable. We need to think on sustainability in the different dimensions, because as the population is growing very, very heavy, we have to face the challenge of the fury of the earth. So let us decide, as you said, we are to prepare for 4 Earths or 1.7 Earth. We have to have ultimately the great responsibility caring about Earth. Thank you. I think now I would request Sujit to invite the next speaker, Mr. Taneja ji, R.K. Taneja head. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for valuable comments from Dr. Mahesh. I think his strong background, as earlier said, it is quite challenging. Again, predominantly it shows that he is more focused on the health. With due respect, I suggest his local colleague and my friend Vijay Makija. So next time onward, please explain the subject of the session, so then he can prepare on that way, and we try to avoid any commercial presentation or commercial data on this. But anyway, it's a quite good presentation, Dr. Rolando, and definitely in future, if anything related to more health discussion, definitely will invite you because of your 25 experience in the veterinary. So next speaker is Mr. Taneja, head of the sales and marketing for the Buller. I think it is very interesting to understand, because the revolution when started in Indian feed industry, particularly pellet feed, I think Buller was one of the backbone and key role played in most of the all big organization. So what he can give the new updates and new technology about the Buller, what is coming in future times. Let's see the understand from Mr. Taneja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sujit. And first of all, very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you very much to Rama for giving us this kind of platform. And then I am very much thankful to Dr. Makija also, who invited me. He has just been followed his spite of my busy travel schedule. And yes, as my earlier speakers, Mr. Raj and Mr. Rolando, have covered most of the, I will say that external factors of feed industry in terms of population growth, in terms of agricultural practices, what is happening at global level, and how we are seeing our future, what other things can be foreseen. I will try to confine myself with respect to only feed manufacturing practices, and I will just going to cover in my presentation that what are the global trends of feed industry, what we are observing from the global manufacturing feed producer point of view, global feed machine manufacturing manufacturer point of view. I am just going to cover those things in this presentation. Yes, in the feed industry, if we talk that we are considering poultry feed, cattle, aqua, premix and concentrates, oil seed nutrition. Then main drivers of the global feed market is population growth. What already in morning session, in my earlier speaker session also it has been covered. But that is the truth, and that is the thing which we are seeing in Indian market also. That is still in one of the still there is a gap in per capita meat consumption in Indian market. What was covered by and mentioned by very clearly by Mr. Rajan in one of the earlier session. That is still gap is there, and that's why we are saying that yes, growth is huge, potential is there. But considering that growth and to prepare ourselves in line with that growth and just to match the parameters of global feed requirements, what are the things? Then you see that the world's excessive liking for meat is the main fuel for our business, for poultry meat business, for aqua feed business. Okay? That is the main fuel. And if we see the statistics, if we see the data, then it is going to be almost around 200 million tons in demand for this poultry meat, which will be 120% growth, which will be showing 120% growth. Now to meet these challenges and to just cope up, to get prepared with this growth, what are the major trends? What we are seeing in the developed countries, in Europe, America, and what will be requirement of our Indian feed industry also tomorrow? In that way, we see that yes, animal nutrition and sustainability is the main thing. Feed safety, but not only feed safety, both are there. Then internet.